Sanmanani, and this is Notes with Nomfundo. This is episode 2 of 70 ideas I'm reading from a book. One idea per day and my reflection. The idea for this episode is we excuse me we experience pain twice. So we have the initial pain, which is the initial event, which is unavoidable. Then we will have the secondary pain. This is what we do after the event. This is how we react to the event. This is where we overthink, we replay, we have the what ifs, the regret loop. This is avoidable. So I'm not saying suffering is derived from the second, but we add to our suffering. Because suffering is derived from our desires not being met, but we add to our suffering by getting stuck in the secondary pain. So let's give some actual credible examples. Example 1. When your relationship, romantic relationship ends, romantic or friendship, whatever, the relationship ends. The relationship ending is the initial pain, the pain you have of losing someone. That's painful, right? That's the initial pain. The secondary pain then comes in when you start doing the what ifs. What if I didn't do that? They would have stayed. What if this? They would have stayed. What if that? We wouldn't have broken up? What if this? Da, 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 da. What if he loved me? Or blah, 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 blah. We also have the overthinking. Did the decisions I make, were they right? Then we replay the entire relationship over and over again. Sometimes we get stuck in the phase of replaying all the wonderful moments and we're like, oh, look, now it's gone. Now I'm not going to be able to have that anymore. We cause ourselves suffering by replaying, overthinking, doing the what ifs, get into the regret loops. A second second example would be, or way of saying it is that we mentally stay in a situation. Imagine you were in a car accident and a week later you keep thinking about car accidents. You're causing yourself secondary pain. You've gone past the initial pain because the initial pain happened at the event. That's gone and dusted. But yet somehow our trauma still stays with us because we now act based on the trauma, the initial event that has occurred, and we continue to act in this manner. We continue to cause ourselves suffering because of how we act or behave based on the event that occurred. A third and final one is it's literally, so I read this yesterday. I read this quote yesterday, and today I literally saw, is it a TikTok or like a reel on YouTube? But apparently it was an ad. I didn't see what it was advertising for at the end, but it was two monks walking back to the temple, and there was a woman who was trying to cross not a river but like a little stream, but she has a long dress. She doesn't want to get wet. The monk then the one in front looks at the woman, and there's a monk behind. The monk then walks up to the woman, picks her up, carries her across the stream, puts her down, doesn't say a word, walks back and carries on walking with the other monk. After some time goes by, the monk who witnessed this spoke up and said, "Why would you do that? As a monk, we're not allowed to touch women. You went against our, principles or values. You went against our vows." He said vows, sorry. "You went against our vows by touching that woman. Why would you do that?" And the monk in the front simply turned around and said, "Look how much suffering you put on yourself. I carried that woman 2 hours ago across the stream, and 2 hours later you're bringing that up?" And then he turned around and he carried on walking. And the monk dumbfounded, like, "Damn, you're right, bro." Because even I was dumbfounded. I'm like, "Damn, you're right." So for 2 hours, homeboy was just simply thinking about the vows that were taken and how he broke the vows by helping that woman cross the road. You see how he caused himself suffering by overthinking it. Perfect how I saw that reel today after reading the quote yesterday. I love how things line up. Maybe the phone saw what I was reading and heard what I was saying, because the phones do listen. I'm not crazy. The phones do listen. But do you see how we cause ourselves suffering? That's a perfect real life ad example of how we cause ourselves suffering. Pain is inevitable. I'm going to just get it out to you. Pain, we cannot avoid pain, especially the initial pain. I'm talking about the initial pain when I say pain is inevitable. We will have traumatic experiences that cause us pain. It is unavoidable. No matter how rich you are, no matter how this or that, pain is avoidable. But suffering comes from us continuously replaying that initial event, overthinking that initial event, what ifing that initial event, regret looping that initial event. A skill, well, there's no skill in avoiding pain. There's no skill that I can give you, teach you, or tell you in order for you to avoid pain. But you need to learn how not to extend it beyond the moment it happened. So you get broken up with now. Do not extend the pain going into secondary pain long than it needs to, or do not extend it at all. Yes, of course, you mourn the loss of the relationship because it's like mourning a loss. You've lost someone who you were once close with. Of course, you're going to mourn it. However, the longer you stay in that mourning phase, the more suffering you cause to yourself. That is something that you can learn to do. Not avoiding the pain, but learning not to extend that secondary pain. What's one way of learning this? It's based on episode 1. What was episode 1? Live in the present. That's one way for you to minimize your suffering. It's for you to live in the present and do one thing every day to obtain the goals that you have set for yourself. This is episode 2. One idea, one reflection, one day at a time.